continuing Stray Gods. Today, also, if I'm the last muse, who's inspiring me while I'm inspiring everyone else? How does that even work? Do I inspire myself? If that's the case, why can't everyone else just inspire themselves? Anyway, let's just play the game.
This must be the Viper's Nest. Scariest part of town, no sign. Just that one dude glaring at everyone. Well, I'm here now. Just another day in the life of an idol.
Ugh, there you are. Man, this place is the worst. I think someone peed on me.
Freddy? What are you doing here?
What, you thought I wouldn't notice you skulking off? You didn't even bring any equipment, Grace?
Freddy, please tell me you don't think you're some kind of adventurer.
I'm sorry. Are you not about to head into a monster's lair at great personal peril? What else would you call that?
You're such a dork. I adore you.
Ah, look at you. Two giggling school chums preparing to face the enemy together.
Oh, it's you.
It is me. How exciting, no?
Pan, what are you doing here?
I'm the one who told you about this place. You didn't expect my curiosity to get the better of me?
Why are you really here, Pan? The truth this time.
I need to have some dastardly ulterior motive other than to be of assistance. For shame, Grace.
You just don't get it, do you? The act is wearing real thin.
It's true. I am a bad man, and I spoke poorly.
And? That's it?
I'd hope even you, Freddy, could see that advice from an idol might be useful here.
I suppose.
Apollo said she's some kind of spy master for Athena. Is that right?
A truer description, I'd say, is that she's more Athena's servant. Poor thing can't survive on her own. So she's become whatever Athena needs. Spy master, enforcer, provider of garden statuary.
That doesn't sound fair.
It isn't. But keep in mind, Medusa is no helpless maiden. She is as clever as she is dangerous. And Athena knows it.
Medusa's clever and works for Athena, but what's she really like?
She doesn't exactly come to the parties, Grace. Medusa is an enigma to most of us. If idols hide in the shadows, she lurks in even darker places. She's an outsider, and she loathes us as much as she needs us.
Is she dangerous?
Let's just say we're all rather relieved she stays away.
Medusa is the one who turns people into stone just by looking at them, right?
People, yes. Idols, not so much. Or that's my assumption. I'll admit to not knowing if she's ever turned her gaze on one of us.
Great. Is there any way to make someone not a statue? If it turns out she can?
Short of Medusa dying? No. Not unless she wishes it.
If you have any advice, Pan, I'm all ears.
Well, I assume you know how Medusa became what she is.
She used to be human, right? And then Athena cursed her. Pretty unfairly, too.
Now, however, Athena hasn't the power to undo her own curse. Or so she claims.
That's gotta suck.
Medusa isn't happy about it, no. Yet she survives because she must. As do we all.
Okay, enough talking. Time to do this.
See? That's the spirit. Now there's simply the matter of getting you in before she's aware you're here.
You're gonna help her do that?
Why not? You're more apt to become a statue than to be any true help, my dear.
Knock it off, both of you. I have a plan for getting inside.
A word of advice before we proceed. Once you find Medusa, make the number a knockout.
Did you really have to follow us up here? You grunted the entire climb.
Those were exertions. I am a hardy but delicate flower.
Just the kind of help we needed.
Neither of you are helping. I have to concentrate to pick this open.
Are you sure it's wise to go jumping in through a skylight, Grace? It's rather dramatic.
You know, for having two helpers along, you're both offering more criticism than help.
Criticism is how we help?
Listen to your Freddy. She is oddly canny for a mortal.
Great. Nothing like a comedy act to get us inside undetected. And there we go. Coming?
Absolutely. This is the fun part.
Maybe let's split up and look around.
What a long day, hiding in the light. Such a long day, dreaming of tonight. This sacred bite. Hello, who's that there? You've messed up my flow. Just get your drink, girl, and take your seat. Oh, it's the muse. There are sacred bites, and then there's this sacred bite. So wrong, so right. I'm really gonna hate myself tonight. Medusa, listen, stop, I'm warning you. This is something you don't wanna do. Tell me more about me, look at you. A prime sashimi with opinions too. Medusa, listen, I'm warning you. Yes, keep on warning me. There's no rewinding, it's something you can't undo. Can't undo. It's kind of the point, lovely. Now look into me. Your body goes freely every time as it tenders, turning jelly as it renders. What'd you say, Grace? You okay, Grace? Where's the game face this time? You are currently experiencing something I like to call the preparation. Any questions or comments? That's right, it is widely known that I can turn folks to stone. But oh, I won't this time. Cause this time I find dine that oozy musy bloods my wine this time. Look into me. Oh, she's looking away. Hey, look
You flipped that hood.
me.
Then out came the snakes. You're so
And be
finally some stakes. Oh, the ice thing.
but it makes
What a difference an actual monster makes. You and Athena. Here's the thing I don't get. Are you her spy, some sort of PI, or more like her pet? Am I hurting the mood when I mention her name?
The fact that she'd hate that you're on my plate only makes me more game. Look into
Medusa, look into your own eyes.
Nope.
Okay, the phone thing doesn't work on you. Nevertheless, let's take a look at you. Fan called you hideous, that's just untrue.
Enough.
I'd kill for eyes like that, the body too.
Don't look at me.
Maybe the hair needs some attending to.
Don't look at me.
Big picture, honey, it's nothing you can't undo. Yeah, you're not a killer. You're much too cute.
You're lost, little girl. No more Hail Marys. We both know the cute girl's you. The killer's me.
Don't know, you don't know.
I do know that you didn't
Kill Calliope. So you know that it's true that I didn't do it.
No.
Yes, you do know, you know. Does that mean Athena knows?
No. Fine grace.
Don't you see, Medusa? You are just her tool. Your queen's a user. Your Athena's feet will be slightly tougher. She's a friend to me. We can get you free.
You said to me,
Persephone can get you free.
so free.
Is that a yes?
That's a
Maybe what?
They must be hypnotized by your amazing butchness.
Must be, I guess.
Are they serious?
That depends. What do you think, Medusa? Will you help me out?
Oh, fine. Fine. What exactly is it that you want, pretty muse?
You were at the reliquary the night Calliope was murdered. I want to know why.
Blast! This is why I didn't tell Lady Athena. I knew it would come back to haunt me. I only followed pretty Calliope to the reliquary. I never spoke to her, never even caught up to her. I swear it.
That's what Asterion told us, more or less.
But you were there that night.
Yes, yes, I admit it. Ugh, Lady Athena will have my head. She'll mount it on a pike. Whatever you might think of me, I had no part in the Muse's death. I did not even know she'd been attacked until I saw her fleeing.
You followed Calliope to the reliquary. Why were you shadowing her at all?
I am Lady Athena's spy master, yes. Calliope has been trouble from time to time.
So you were spying on her.
I keep watch over every idol who no longer lives in Olympus, but especially Calliope. When I realized she was headed to the reliquary that eve, I followed. I had a duty to Athena.
Did you ever find out why Calliope went there?
I was never close enough to ask. When I drew near to the reliquary, that is when I saw the Muse fleeing. She was frightened, bloodied, dying.
A tasty snack for you to hunt down.
I gave chase, yes, but to discover the truth. I knew Lady Athena would wish to know.
That does make sense from your perspective.
I didn't learn the truth until later. And then it was far too late.
You haven't told Athena any of this?
You agreed to help, remember?
I told her Calliope was at the reliquary that night. I did not tell her I was also there.
Why not? Wouldn't Athena find out from Hecate anyway?
I was not thinking clearly. I panicked. Lady Athena barely tolerates my presence as it is. If she thought I was involved in any way, if she even suspected...
Why should we believe you? You did just try to eat me, remember?
I agreed to help you. I speak the truth.
Right, and not at all trying to cover your own ass.
You presented an opportunity. Oh, to taste the sweet, sweet blood of a hero once again. It's a problem. I've been working on it, I really have.
Oh, Medusa.
Well, what of you? The only reason I knew Calliope was going to the reliquary is because you informed me.
Well,
Speaking of covering one's ass...
it is true. But Grace, I can explain.
I'll bet you can. Let's put a pin in that for the moment, shall we?
I am a monster. It's true, I do not deny it. It's still, I did not kill the muse.
Asterion said he caught up with you out in the fog. Is that right?
I thought he was the one who had attacked her. He is a great beast of a creature.
Oh, that seems rather unlikely. The bull's as gentle as a lamb.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Yes, I only realized my mistake once I caught up to him, and by then the muse was gone.
And you never found her afterwards?
I thought she might flee to her pretty home, or to the sharp and prickly Persephone. She did neither.
Yeah, she came to see me. Okay, let's say we believe you. For the moment.
I've told you everything I know. We have a bargain. You said my curse might be lifted.
Hey, I'll ask Persephone. That's all I can do.
Whatever you do, pretty muse, I beg you. Do not tell Athena of my indiscretion. Show mercy. I know what I am horrifies you. It horrifies me as well. I cannot help what I am. I did not ask to be cursed like this.
Whether I tell Athena depends. Have you done this before?
I...
Medusa, what happened to Artemis?
She left? I am a lost and cursed thing. No idol. If Lady Athena should learn the truth... I hope you find what you seek, pretty muse. And that we meet again someday. And sing a different song.
Okay, so that was fun. Grace, I'll meet you back at home.
Now, before you say anything...
You knew. Right from the start, you knew Calliope was there that night.
Well, yes. She asked for the key and I gave it to her, no questions asked. I never lied to you, Grace. I said I didn't know what became of Calliope at the reliquary, and I didn't. But I wanted to, so I nudged you in the right direction.
Why? Is there some reason you need to know what happened to Calliope?
Is that so strange? Don't we all desire justice?
You sent me to the reliquary because you wanted justice.
I am trying to help, Grace. In my way.
What do you mean, in my way? What way is that?
The way where I don't take all the blame.
What else will I discover, Pan? I'd rather learn it now than later.
I wish I could tell you, Grace. I truly do. Oh, if it isn't, the lovely Grace?
You knew. Right from the start, you knew Calliope was there that night.
Well, yes. She asked for the key and I gave it to her, no questions asked. I told you I didn't know what happened to Calliope, and that's the truth. I did not. So I nudged you in the right direction.
So you were what? Just trying to be helpful? You still aren't telling me something.
What possible reason would I have to?
Tell me, right now.
Medusa learned that Calliope was going to the reliquary because I told her. Now, before you say anything, I had no idea of the fate awaiting our dear muse. And you yourself said Medusa was not responsible. I simply had to know if I'd inadvertently, rather innocently...
Sold her out? She came to you for help, and you gave her whereabouts to the highest bidder.
I am trying to help, Grace. In my way.
What do you mean, in my way? What way is that?
The way where I don't take all the blame.
What else will I discover, Pan? I'd rather learn it now than later.
I wish I could tell you, Grace. I truly do.
Back again so soon, Grace? You're practically a regular at the club. Did you end up finding Medusa? Or did she vanish the moment you came near, like she does with every other idol?
She definitely did not vanish. Maybe I better explain what happened.
I knew it. We never should have brought that monster to the New World. Athena's a fool to think Medusa can be controlled. You're fortunate to have made it out in one piece. It could have gone very poorly for you.
It could have, sure, but it didn't.
That's a rather cavalier attitude for someone who so clearly wants to live.
Hey, it gets things done.
I suppose the important part is that Medusa has been exonerated, but Pan has not. I don't imagine you've confronted him yet.
He admitted to selling out Calliope, but not to killing her. I don't know if I can believe him.
Nor I. Pan would do anything to save his own skin. Allow me some time to consider our next move. On a different matter, I've had time to do some thinking. I may have been too dismissive after Aphrodite's party. You no doubt have many questions about the Eidolon and Calliope's memories.
Apollo told me a little about it. He did say I should talk to you, though.
Did he now? Is there anything you'd like to ask?
When all these memories start to return, will I feel different?
First, you'll have dreams. Places you've never been, people you've never met. But unlike with normal dreams, these will linger. Then they will come while you're awake. Sudden flashes or snippets of déjà vu. And sometimes it will seem so real you'll swear you're hallucinating. If there's anything difficult about the process, is that it becomes hard to differentiate between your life and all these other lives you're now recalling.
It does sound confusing.
Confusing and often unpleasant, as not all the memories will be fond ones. But that will pass in time.
You said it becomes hard to differentiate your life from the others. How hard, exactly? It'll still be me, right?
Oh, how do I explain this? Grace, would you say that you are who you are because of your experiences? The things you've lived and done?
I guess so, sure.
Well, all the things Calliope has done, and those before her, will now be yours. They will feel like a part of your life as well. Thus, they can't help but shape you. The Grace that is now will be and will have done so much more. Fortunately, you don't have to deal with every memory. Each time the Eidolon passes on, the oldest memories fade, and that helps.
Wait, how is it good that old memories start to fade?
Think of how old we are, Grace. If all those memories returned to you with perfect clarity, they would destroy you.
Yeah, but doesn't that mean you've all forgotten so much?
Well, far more than we remember. The further I think back, the more it becomes a bit of a blur, actually. You'll recall important moments. Some will be mixed up with the stories mortals tell, and you won't be sure which is the memory and which is the story. An idol's memory is a series of islands in a dark ocean, and they become smaller and smaller as they recede into the horizon. It sounds dire, but you become accustomed to it. It just takes time, and now you have all the time in the world.
How many times have you died? Can I ask that?
We call it passing on. I've lost track of just how many times I've passed on my Eidolon. A dozen? It's happened less often in more recent eras.
And the one you told me about, the woman married to that gangster, she was the most recent?
I don't think of Chastity as a she. That was me, just as the one my husband blasted with a shotgun was also me. It was one of the few times I wasn't able to prepare my successor. We were friends, yes, but I didn't know what Persephone was, and I had no idea what I'd just become.
That must have been difficult.
It was more difficult taking over my dead husband's territory. Women weren't often mobsters in those days.
Were you really a gangster? I've heard it said, but it sounds...
Let me put it this way. I felt as if I'd been blessed by a dying woman who saved me from a prison of my own making. I didn't know what I was, but I was free. I felt more alive than I'd ever felt before, and strong enough to toss an ox 10 feet. Did I set out to become a mobster? Not exactly. My husband's friends thought I'd murdered him, however, so they came after me. And one thing led to another.
Oh, I see.
Athena found me just as my memories were starting to return. I wasn't permitted to continue doing something so noticeable, so I was carted off to Olympus. It's too bad, really. I was an excellent mobster.
Wait, you said that Persephone passed on her eidolon as she lay dying. What if she had just died?
The eidolon will keep us alive for a time, even in the most horrific circumstances, in hopes that there's someone to pass it on to.
What if there isn't? What if Chastity had died before you were shot?
Well, then the line of Persephone would have ended then and there. Oh, there are some stories that say an eidolon will go wandering, that it never really dies. And who knows if there's any truth to that. It's not exactly something we've had the opportunity to study. All we know is that many idols have left us forever. They've died, and that's how it happens.
It's a lot to consider. Assuming I'll even have time to worry about it, what with the trial coming.
Either the trial will end poorly, in which case all of this is moot, or it will end well, and you will have plenty of time to digest.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
I'm a realist, Grace. It's what I'm best at. Now then, unless you've something else to ask.
Tell me more about Calliope. You and her were good friends, right?
We were.
And
if you had told me a decade ago that I would become close to one of the muses, I would have laughed in your face. I always considered them Apollo's creatures. Calliope, Clio, and Talia. Vapid, frivolous gods who handed off their eidolon to any artist who took their fancy. Every time I met one of them, they were someone else. Apollo called them the Sisters of Beauty, no matter their gender. Can you imagine that? That's such a stupid name.
I never thought of that. Do idols change gender a lot?
Well, we tend to seek out successors like ourselves, but it happens. With the muses, it happened frequently. Everywhere Apollo went, they surrounded him like a gaggle of ducklings, just like him to gather his own fans.
If you disliked the muses so much, how did you end up becoming friends with Calliope?
She sought me out. She'd become more and more unhappy on Olympus, so she decided to leave just as I had, long before. Calliope asked for my help, and I laughed in her face. Go ask one of your sycophant mortals, I told her. I mean, surely one of them has some threadbare couch you can sleep on.
Wow.
Typically, she was undeterred. She didn't just want a place to stay. She said she wanted to learn how to be truly independent from an idol who had mastered it. What can I say? I mean, I am a sucker for a well-timed compliment. I took her in. Apollo was furious. He and Calliope were barely speaking, but he was certain she'd come crawling back to Olympus. Oh, it made taking her in all the sweeter.
After you took Calliope in, that's when you became friends?
Well, no, not right away. I wasn't looking for a friend. What I was looking for was an opening act in the club. Calliope entertained here for years, and then eventually turned from performing to attracting new acts. She was in her element. She and I, we warmed up to each other eventually. She was more capable than I expected, and I adored her furious rants.
Calliope didn't seem like the furious type when I met her. That's hard to picture.
Oh, then you didn't really meet her. She was an idealist, and nobody could ever quite live up to her standards for very long. Her brothers and sisters, least of all. The idols needed to change, she said. They were withering away in the shadows, diminished and unwilling to save their own skins. When I joined the chorus, she expected me to change everything, as if I could single-handedly override Athena. I was to be her champion, and together we would bring revolution to the idols. Well, I was yet another disappointment. She left the club, but I gave her a place to live. We were supposed to stay in touch, but you know how it went from there.
What happened to the other muses? You mentioned 2 others. Were they lost in the war?
One of them was, though not like you think. The day we were to leave on the ship, Talia simply never showed up.
Do you know what happened to her?
We never heard from her again. Apollo thrashed about in mourning, but Talia had been fading away for years. It wasn't a surprise to the rest of us.
What about the other muse, Cleo?
Died long before. A victim at the hands of a mortal man, when she no longer possessed the power to bedazzle him. As I understand it, he kept her in a cage as a pet until her eidolon shriveled up and perished. It was dead before she was.
Ugh, that's pretty dark.
Yes, well, we come by our wariness of mortals honestly, Grace.
I'd like to know a little more about the idols. I am one now, right?
What constitutes a little more in this instance?
Well, what are we? Where did we come from? If an idol is a soul that moves from person to person, it must have started somewhere, right?
Ah, the big question. To which the answer is, nobody knows. I remember the original Persephone only vaguely. Indeed, I'm not even certain she was the original. Was there something before her? How did she get her eidolon? I couldn't tell you. Evidently, we wrote little down in those early days, or were forbidden to, and our memories only stretch back so far. Anything beyond that simply isn't.
Psst. Isn't it strange to not know where you come from? For all you know, the idols could be aliens.
Aliens? Grace, you watch too many movies.
Gods are okay, but aliens are just wacky fiction.
Fine, yes. It is strange. No, our earliest days aren't the only blanks in our memories, however. We have many. And the last was the day Zeus called us all together to tell us Rome had fallen and we should prepare for war. But did that war occur? I couldn't tell you. The last thing I remember after Rome was 1,000 years later, in the 16th century. I was in a different body, feeling as if no time at all had passed. Athena calls that period the gap. That's what it feels like. All of us experienced it, and not one of us knows why or how.
The gap you mentioned. What was that like? Did you just wake up one day, or...?
I wasn't asleep. I lived. I had lives. I passed on my eidolon. I may have known who I was and what I was, but perhaps I was completely unaware. All I know is that one day, Athena came to my nunnery, near Trieste, I think. The moment that I saw her, all the old memories came flooding back. My life during the gap was wiped away in an instant, and it never returned. If someone did that to us, they were powerful indeed.
What about Athena? I mean, she's the one who found you, right? She must have been aware.
Athena woke up on her own, or so she claims, and spent the next century rounding up those idols who remained. Zeus, however, was gone. What became of him, what happened in Rome, we've never pieced it together. It's troubling.
Tell me more about the war. It seems to have had a huge effect on all of you.
That's putting it mildly.
From Aphrodite's song, I know Ares betrayed everyone. What did you do?
Honestly, after my mother was murdered, I barely remember.
Your mother?
Her name was Demeter. Not truly my mother, but an idol who had always cared for me since the early days. I thought we'd be together forever. Then Ares brought those filthy bastards down on us. Demeter was slain by bullets. By bullets. Until that day, I had believed we were untouchable.
Why would Ares do that? Did he get anything out of it in the end, or...?
What he got was a final death. A few of us hunted him down and made sure he paid for his betrayal. He choked on his own blood. As for why he did it, who knows? He thought us a lost cause. He wanted glory. He wanted more than we had, living in secret. After that, I don't know. We went from hiding place to hiding place. I didn't even know what Hephaestus had done for us when I found myself on a boat. We might have been gods once, but after the war, we were just refugees, like so many others, fleeing to a distant land.
Was it hard for the idols to come to the New World? It's just a place like any other, isn't it?
Well, it wasn't the place that was hard, it was the fear. We knew we were vulnerable. We knew mortals could and would kill us. Suddenly, there were rules. We had to be secret. We had to stay close together. We huddled in the shadows and quaked each time the mortals so much as breathed in our direction. We couldn't all live that way. Some of us drifted away, faded into the night without so much as an explanation. That's what's been the hard part. Our inevitable decline in a place where we don't belong. We can pass on our eidolons as often as we like, but it will never truly be home.
Are you willing to talk about Hades? If you don't want to, that's fine. I'm just...
Incredibly curious how I ended up murdering my husband?
That, yeah.
One might think that my hatred of Hades began when he kidnapped me and forced me to be his bride. But honestly, that wasn't it. I hated my brothers and sisters for letting it happen, but Hades himself terrified me. He had a presence. One that forever made him the most important man in the room. And me? Oh, I was nothing in comparison. When Hades began doting on me, trying to earn my favor, I swooned that he might deign to think of me that way. For centuries, I actually thought I was in love, that the kidnapping was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's funny how our perspectives change.
If you got along with Hades for so long, what changed?
I did. I grew up. I was a trophy for Hades. A conquest that he expected to remain meek and unchanging forever. He went out of his way to keep me small. I slowly realized that, he'd always been that way. Manipulation and arrogance behind the handsome sneer. We battled for centuries. I hated him, and I told him so, but he refused to part with me. He declared that I was his and would stay in the underworld where I belonged.
And that's when you killed him?
That's when I killed him, yes. The first time one idol had ever murdered another. Thank you very much.
I'm guessing the other idols weren't thrilled with you killing Hades.
Well, yeah, they didn't know what to do with me. And Athena was furious that the most powerful remaining idol had been lost. See, this was before the war and before all the new rules. The chorus had never once contemplated execution, but they certainly considered it then. In the end, they decided it was better to humiliate me. They ensured I did not benefit from Hades' murder, and stripped the throne I had wrested from his grasp.
Which you weren't happy about.
I asked them where they were all those years while I pleaded for help. I was held captive, and what was I expected to do? What, lie down and take it forever because Hades was more useful to them alive? No. I stopped doing what was expected of me the day I slit his throat. May he rot in Tartarus with the Titans for all eternity.
How did you go from ruling the underworld to opening a nightclub named after it?
I won it in a bet with Dionysus, god of merriment.
Okay, there has to be a story there.
Well, the story is that he was a fool, but a charming one with many patrons. They built him a nightclub as his personal playground. And it was a grand old time for Dionysus in the 1970s, I assure you, but he didn't know how to run a business. By the time disco was ready to die, so was his stupid club. So I offered to make it profitable. If I succeeded, he would turn ownership over to me. He accepted because, frankly, all he wanted to do was drink anyhow. I was successful. The club became mine, and I kicked Dionysus out for never paying his tab.
Sucks to be him.
Dionysus ever sobers up, he might decide to be sore about it, but so far, that hasn't happened.
What's the deal between you and Apollo? The way you two fight.
I've told you how he and the other idols stood by and let me rot with Hades, did I not?
It seems more personal than that.
Okay, there's an old saying that no one escapes the underworld. But that's not true. I did. Once. Not long after Hades kidnapped me. I was homesick, and I missed my mother. Charon took pity on me and allowed me across the Styx. And after that, Grace, I waded through darkness itself to get out of there. Hades chased after me relentlessly, but I evaded him, right up until I got to the very slopes of Olympus. And who do you suppose was the first idol I met?
Uh-oh.
Apollo stood there. I cried out to him, begging him not to let Hades take me, and yet Apollo did as he has always done. Absolutely nothing. Hades was thrilled. And I knew then and there I could never rely on my so-called family for anything, ever again.
That's all I can think of for now. I'll see you around?
Oh yes, that's where I'll be, around.
Hi, Grace. I can just call you Grace, right?
That's my name. Where's Freddie?
She went out to get snacks. We were gonna watch TV while we waited, but, well, here you are.
What, you and Freddie are friends now? When did this happen?
When I came looking for you. Friday has this movie that I've never seen. Super cool, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, would you rather not share your mortal friends? Anyway, I guess Athena wants to talk? I can zip us over to Olympus anytime, if you're free.
So this is what you do? Ferry people around?
I'm the god of messengers, baby. Travelers, doorways, any kind of transition, really. The old Hermes said that the transition part made even more sense for me, which, you know, extra cool, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I can connect any two doorways anywhere, just like that. So it's super easy to take people wherever. I don't mind.
You mentioned the old Hermes a lot. You knew him?
Yeah, I was homeless for a while. It wasn't a great time, and he took me in. Everyone's on the same journey, he used to say. Only the roads are different. And then he went on his journey. Man, I still miss him every day.
Wait, isn't he still inside you? Aren't you kind of the same person now?
Not yet. It's only been a year. Maybe I'll feel him again one day. That'd be nice.
You say it's easy, but do you like doing all these errands?
Huh. Yeah, I never thought about it. It's nice to have a purpose. Athena is super sweet, and she has a big, important job. Why wouldn't I want to help her out?
You can't be this nice. Are you for real?
Oh, well, the old Hermes used to say that a willingness to serve is more important than a willingness to be served.
Do I have a choice about seeing Athena? I'm not in the habit of being at anyone's beck and call.
I mean, I guess you could say no, but I wouldn't. If Athena wants something, she's gonna get it eventually. She had that look in her eyes, like she really wants to talk to you.
She could always come here. Everyone else does.
Athena entered the mortal world? And now she doesn't do that ever. Can you imagine?
How does Athena manage never entering the mortal world?
She doesn't have to, I guess. Everyone brings her everything she needs. And that creepy owl of hers? Apollo says it's her eyes out in the world. It's everywhere. Watching.
So what, she just never leaves the building?
She'll go to the reliquary and places like that. Just never where mortals are. She wears a toga and calls cars iron horses.
I suppose there's no point in putting it off. Do your thing. Take me to Olympus.
Okay. Oh, when you see Freddie, tell her I'm sorry I couldn't stick around for the movie. And mind if I say something?
Sure.
You've changed. I mean, from the person I met when I first came here. When, you know, you got it together really quick.
Thanks, I guess.
There you are, Grace. Do have a seat.
I prefer to stand, thanks.
As you like. You've certainly been busy, haven't you? Everywhere I turn, there you are. Including the reliquary.
Oh.
I'm uncertain how you got access, but even you must have realized it's off limits. Particularly for your mortal friend.
Am I not supposed to be proving my innocence? Would you prefer I did nothing?
I'd prefer you didn't break any other rules in the meantime.
Such as? Do you have a list I can read, or do you just make them up as you go?
You think our judgment was rash? It was. In truth, I worried that giving you time, letting us all get to know you, would make it harder in the end. I am sorry, Grace. You may not believe it, but I care deeply. I care about what happens to you and to all the idols.
You care. About me? That's a laugh. You sit up here in your tower, and whatever humanity you might have once had, whatever wisdom, it's eroded away to nothing. The only thing you care about is making sure it doesn't all shatter. Not on your watch.
Zeus was the first to leave. King of the gods. And we don't even know what became of him. Vanished into the ether. Poseidon was next. Walked out into the seas, never to be heard from again. Ares betrayed us. Hephaestus saved us. Hades was murdered. And by one of our own. The list goes on.
I've heard most of that, sure. What does it have to do with me?
We are dying, Grace. I don't mean diminishing or drifting apart. I mean our immortality is disappearing. Very soon now, the idols will be no more. We are a legacy that spans millennia, dating back to the very dawn of humankind. So yes, I care. I will do anything and everything in my power to avoid that fate, even if it appears unfair.
You know, it's too bad. I've been an idol for 5 minutes, and I've been out there solving problems you've all wrestled with for how long now? I could have helped you, Athena. I could have helped all of you. But you don't see that, do you? You're so busy holding on to what you have. You can't see what you're throwing away.
I know we've put a great deal on your shoulders, Grace. I do. All I called you here to ask is that you please not make my job more difficult than it already is. If you have any other questions or concerns, now's the time to bring them up.
Who has access to the reliquary? Is it anyone with a key, or...
Does it matter? You gained access, so clearly it is not difficult to get. Speaking of which, I don't suppose you'll tell me who gave you that key.
The same person gave it to me, who gave it to Calliope.
And who gave it to Calliope, then? I see.
Speaking of the reliquary, you went there, right? Once Hecate told you what happened?
Yeah, I was not impressed by the delay.
If you had known about that, the night Calliope died, would it have made a difference?
The chances are exceedingly small that you attacked her there, it's true. Yet, Calliope was weakened, which made her more vulnerable prey for an enterprising mortal. One she knew. Perhaps the incidents are connected, perhaps not. I cannot afford the risk of uncertainty, Grace. I'm sorry.
All right, let's talk about Medusa.
Met her, have you?
Is it true you can't remove her curse? Or is she just too useful?
I wish I could remove the curse. I'm afraid the Athena who bestowed it is long gone. She was prideful, that Athena. As prideful as she was powerful, I'm ashamed to say.
The current Athena is responsible for everything she's done.
I am well aware, Grace. What is it that you would have me do exactly?
How about you stop treating her like a servant? Maybe send her somewhere she won't be tempted all the time.
Oh, well, if you happen to hear of a diet camp for man-eating monsters, by all means, do let me know. Now, if there isn't anything else?
What do you know of Pan?
Pan? That's not a name I expected to hear. Been sniffing around you, has he?
I have some suspicions, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Pan lurks at the edges because he likes it there, seeking out whatever profit he thinks he can get away with. Avoid him, dear, or he'll stick to you like gum to the bottom of your shoe.
Okay, so you don't like Pan much. I get that. But do you think he could kill someone?
We've all killed, my dear. I was once a warrior queen, feared by mortals and gods alike.
Another idol, I mean.
Is that where your investigation has led you? To Pan?
Sort of. But I feel like I'm missing something important. Maybe the goddess of wisdom could help me out?
It would be helpful to know what Calliope was doing at the reliquary, but she's not available to ask. Not until you regain her memories, at least.
Why not put off the trial until then? Seems like a good way to solve all this. Yeah?
And trust what you decide to share? I think not.
I guess I'll get back to my investigation.
I am rooting for you, Grace. If there's another way to resolve this, any way at all, I will take it.
Will you? Really?
Good luck. Feel free to take a cookie on your way out.
Don't take it personally, Grace. Athena's first instinct is to follow the rules whenever things get rough. As if she believes that if the idols don't blindly follow every rule to the letter, we'll dissolve into utter chaos.
Well, is she right?
Probably.
Do you think she's telling the truth? About the idols dying out?
I'm not sure. If it is true, why hasn't she told the rest of the chorus?
It sounds like she doesn't trust you.
Well, the feeling is mutual. At any rate, I'm afraid we're going to have to disappoint her again.
Uh-oh. What now?
You need to go back to the reliquary, Grace.
You know, Athena said something to me. That it'd be nice to know what Calliope was doing there in the first place.
And she's correct.
It's the only piece of the puzzle we're missing. Calliope went there because she had a plan. But what plan?
If she left clues behind, wouldn't Hecate have found them already?
That's a really good question.
We can't ask Calliope what her plan was. But you might be able to remember what she was doing there.
Her memories? But I thought...
That it will take years, yes. But if you go somewhere important to Calliope, or touch something special to her, you'll get flashes, feelings.
Do you want Grace to go to the reliquary so she can have deja vu?
I'm willing to wager the place Calliope met her fate has left its mark in Grace's psyche. We have only to uncover it.
Last time Freddy and I were there, Hecate wouldn't let us into the reliquary. Not without Athena's permission.
I'm certainly not suggesting we ask Athena for permission.
Then you mean...
A week ago, I would have said breaking into the reliquary was impossible. Yet it appears Hecate can be surprised. If her book says she will be.
Let's hope the book says that again, I guess.
Unless you've some other plan. I'm all ears, as they say.
What about the alarms? I'm not eager to have Asterion chasing me through the fog.
Calliope snuck in without setting off any alarms. At least at first.
Well, I'll be following in Calliope's footsteps, won't I? What if I follow the wrong footstep and set them off?
Then they discover you and we apologize profusely.
Will not be a good look, though, just saying.
Are you sure about this? You want me to wander around hoping something comes to me?
I do know something about how memories work after the transition, but no, I'm not certain. You want certainty? Wait until your trial. Without discovering more, the outcome of that is certain.
What if Medusa is lying? What about Pan? We could look into him some more, couldn't we?
Oh, my, you're just full of ideas, aren't you? Do you have any suggestions regarding how we might go about doing that?
Deja vu it is.
Let's say I do this. What am I hoping to find?
Some memory of who attacked Calliope, or why she was there. Anything we could work with. I've spoken to almost all the idols, and every single one says they hadn't seen or heard from her. If she was keeping to herself, then why now? What started this? We're missing something important, Grace.
What if Grace goes there and the memory she sees is that she attacked Calliope? A Grace from the future. It'd be a twist.
Is there really no other way? This seems a bit desperate.
That's because we are desperate, Grace. Either we take this shot at learning the truth, or we overthrow Athena and the chorus by force, and disregard this stupid trial.
She's joking, right? She's joking, right?
Right then. Back to the reliquary it is.
Any idea how you want to do this, Grace? Because I'm game to help.
Cool. I'm sure we can figure something out.
I can't go in with you. Hecate would sense me right away. I will, however, stay close by. If anything happens, I'll come. Hecate won't stop me. The Minotaur won't stop me. Nothing will.
Gosh, it almost seems like you care.
Ugh, can we just get on with this already?
Ah, so that is now. Oh, you were expecting us?
It is written that you would come, yes.
That is so cool. I kid you not.
Yet it was also written that you would sneak into the reliquary as Calliope did, so this encounter is unanticipated.
This book of yours really isn't as accurate as you make it out to be.
The course it lays out is almost always correct. The smaller things, they are subject to free will and frequently change. However, even without the book, I do understand why you've come. Is there a reason why you believe my answer will be different now?
The only reason you won't let me in is because Athena forbids it, right?
She is the one to whom I made my promise, yes.
What if I said that she's a suspect in Calliope's death?
Is she a suspect?
She's an idol. I don't know that she's not a suspect. Yet. Without more evidence, isn't her command potentially self-serving?
You will regret this. That is also written.
That is a yes.
Go quickly. Look, but do not touch. The reliquary stores many artifacts, some dangerous.
Got it. Okay, Grace. What the heck do you do now? Of all the times to not have Freddie around, she'd love this. First things first, how do I do this? Where do I even start? Calliope must have been here. She could have stood in this very spot. Maybe if I just focus. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I've definitely been here before. I don't get any feeling from that. Will I know it when I see it? Is this an armory, too? Is should really charge for tours. It's kind of amazing. Freddy, are you out there? Can you hear me? What am I doing? All that'll do is tell everyone where I am. Shouldn't that be in a museum somewhere? I don't even know what language that is. What did Freddy say about mazes? Was it always go left? Or go left and then go right? Is that a weapon? A musical instrument? Maybe it's both. This is it. Calliope was here. She was standing right here. And she... Uh-oh. Hello? Do you work for Hecate? Are you guardians or something? Okay then. What's happening? Why didn't it work? Grace? Freddy! We've got to run! My powers don't work on them, they just keep coming! Oh God. Oh God, Freddy!
By the gods.
You summoned the Furies.
What?
Those beings were the Furies, beyond all our laws. Not idols, but the embodiment of retribution. How did you draw them here?
I didn't. there was a big mirror, but I didn't even touch it.
There is only one mirror of which you could be speaking. That used by the goddess Nyx to contact the Fates. Using the mirror would not have brought the Furies down upon you. Not unless the Fates themselves decreed it.
I don't care what brought them. They killed Freddy. You need to help her.
I have no power over life and death, Grace. None of us have that. This was no defense or spell of the reliquaries. I do not have the power to summon the Furies, and I know none who do. You should consider yourself fortunate, Grace. They do not desist until retribution has been exacted. But now is when you leave. Pray the knowledge you obtained was worth the price.
Persephone, we can't just... There must be something we can do.
She made her choice, Grace.
No! It's not right!
Come. There's nothing more to be done.
think I'll stop here for tonight. Have a good day or night, everyone.